There's a moment most people never witness. It doesn't arrive with shouting or slammed doors. It happens somewhere much quieter, maybe while reading a message seen 4 times without finding energy to respond. Maybe in the middle of a sentence, when a voice suddenly sounds far away and the realization hits, this version of self has been performed for longer than memory allows. A small shift, almost silent, like something finally settling into place after resisting for years. From the outside, it looks sudden. 1 week, they're present, engaged, reachable. The next, nothing. People call it ghosting. They call it cold. They say they changed overnight, but that's almost never the truth. The switch that seems to flip in a single moment was actually turning for months, sometimes years, rotating so quietly that even the person inside didn't notice until the click was complete. Psychologists call what happens before that door shuts compassion fatigue, the emotional exhaustion from giving care without receiving it. Originally studied in nurses, researchers found it applies to anyone in chronically one-sided relationships. But here's what most miss. Compassion fatigue doesn't happen to people who care too little. It happens to people who care too much, for too long, with too little coming back. Maybe it was the birthday they planned for someone who forgot theirs 3 years running. Maybe it was the 2 a.m. call they always answered from someone who never picked up when they called. Maybe it was the text, "I'm here if you need me," sent to someone never there when needed. These moments accumulate. They settle in the body, in the heaviness before answering a phone, in the pause, stretching longer before responding. Not because they're busy, because they're measuring whether anything remains to offer. Studies on attachment theory reveal something crucial. People experiencing inconsistent emotional reciprocity develop anxious avoidant patterns. They want connection, but learned that reaching out leads to disappointment. The nervous system becomes trained to expect pain. The body keeps score before the mind admits defeat. It shows up as tension when a certain name appears, the voice flattening, not angry, not sad, just empty. The stomach tightening before every interaction. Neuroscience confirms this. Repeated emotional disappointment reshapes neural pathways. The brain predicts pain and builds walls the conscious mind hasn't authorized. This isn't coldness. This is exhaustion, wearing the face of calm. There's a tiredness unrelated to sleep. It comes from always adjusting first, softening tone so others stay comfortable, filling silences nobody else will, carrying what psychologists call emotional labor, the invisible work of managing feelings and anticipating needs. Research found that people consistently giving more than receiving experience measurable changes in stress hormones. They're running empty while everyone assumes the tank is full. Something shifts, not into anger or sadness, into something flatter, recognition that no amount of showing up creates balance, that some people continue taking, not from cruelty, but because they never learned to notice someone beside them quietly drowning. People who cut others off without warning almost always stayed far too long. They didn't leave at the first sign of trouble. They stayed through the 20th disappointment. Held on because letting go felt like giving up, but endurance has limits. When they arrive, they don't send announcements. Psychology calls this protective withdrawal, the instinctive retreat when emotional resources are depleted. Not a decision made in anger. The psyche's last act of self-preservation. The body remembers every reach for connection, met with empty air. Every vulnerability, met with indifference. Eventually, it makes decisions on autopilot. Some call it numbness, others call it clarity, usually both. Brené Brown said, "Boundaries are not about keeping people out. They're about giving yourself permission to stop abandoning yourself for others. That's what this silence is. A boundary arriving too late, but just in time. Those who leave without explanation often spent years explaining. They expressed needs and watched them forgotten, asked for change and watched patterns repeat. At some point, explanation becomes exhaustion. Silence becomes gentler. Some wounds only heal when no longer exposed to the hands that created them. But the people on the other side aren't always villains. Sometimes they're unconscious. They never learned to notice what they weren't taught to see. They loved the only way they knew, which wasn't enough, but wasn't nothing. Understanding this doesn't lessen the exhaustion, but it makes leaving feel less like revenge, more like release. Two people can both try their best, while one slowly drains. That's not cruelty. That's incompatibility. Recognizing it isn't blame. It's clarity. The word cold follows people who disconnect. So does avoidant. Both miss something critical. This isn't running from feeling. This is what remains after feeling everything, processing it alone, reaching conclusions without witnesses. It looks cold because the fire burned out before anyone noticed it was lit. What others see as sudden is the final frame of a film they never watched. These aren't people incapable of connection. Most want it deeply, but experience taught them connection without balance becomes something else. A quiet drain, an invisible theft dressed as love. Maya Angelou said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." These people learned late. They believed apologies instead of patterns, gave chance after chance. Eventually, they learned. The learning looked like leaving. Nobody asks what staying cost. Nobody wonders what leaving saved. Boundaries look like walls to those who benefited from their absence. Silence feels cruel to those who never valued words offered freely. Somewhere now, someone realizes they have nothing left for a relationship that never fed them. They won't announce it. They'll simply stop answering. When people ask what happened, no answer will satisfy. Because sometimes the most honest response is silence. The quiet sound of someone choosing survival over the endless work of trying to be chosen by people who never learned to choose back. To anyone called too sensitive for needing reciprocity. To anyone labeled cold for finally protecting themselves. Nothing is broken. The ability to prioritize self-preservation after years of self-abandonment isn't dysfunction. It's healing. The moment the nervous system finally wins. That quiet click isn't an ending. It's someone finally coming home.